Can everyone hear him? Yes. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Diane and Susie. It was great seeing you guys. And thank you, everyone, for being here. This is absolutely exciting to be, talking about my favorite bird in the entire world is the harpy eagle, and of course, the opportunity to visit Panama, which is one of the main, if not the most important stronghold of harpy eagle in all of Central America. Okay, so I would like to, well, again, thank you all for the opportunity. And we're gonna start the slideshow presentation. If any of you have any questions, anything like that, I think we'll be monitoring the chat. And of course, those of you that are in the room, please feel free to maybe, we'll go to a Q&A at the end. All right, so I'm gonna try to share my screen. This is it right here. Whoops. It's not supposed to go there. It's right here. Okay, how's that looking? It's good? Okay, okay.
Do you need to move the speaker screen at all? You're good? Okay, you're good to go.
All right, well, well, here we go then. So tonight I'm gonna be talking a little bit about the harpy eagle itself. And then later in the presentation, I'm gonna be giving some details about the trip that we're planning for Panama coming up very soon, actually. So, so we call this the Harpy Eagle Quest, and this is certainly very, very exciting because Harpy Eagles are simply the most powerful, strongest eagle around. Might not be the largest, might not be the heaviest, but is by far the strongest, and that makes it really, really special. And I'm gonna try to, convey to you all why are the characteristics, or what are the characteristics that make the harpy eagle so special, right? Well, to begin with, let's look at those numbers, right? It can reach heights of 3.5 feet. If you think about it, and almost the standard doorknob sits at about 3 feet tall. So it is actually taller than that. You always compare them with a chair, and and of course with that huge wingspan of more than 6 feet, and they can weigh up to 20 pounds, particularly the females, which as you can see there, they can weigh up almost twice as much as the males, right? It's not common to see them side by side, except when they are tending the nest and all that. But once you get that chance, the difference is quite substantial. To see the difference. That's true for most birds of prey, actually. Think about it. Most hawks, even falcons, owls, typically the females are larger, right? They have more responsibilities, so they need to be stronger, of course, in this case, okay? The name harpy actually was taken from the harpies of Greek mythology, right? Were gruesome, very brave, and kind of dark women with bodies of birds, and they were given that name when they were, first named by cardinals, actually, back in the days, and well, they kept the harpy part of them, their common name, and the scientific name is Arpia arpija, and they for sure resemble. If you look at that picture to the left of the screen, that's not my picture. This is a picture from actually South America. I believe it's Brazil, and you can see that shape and that look and all of that. In Costa Rica specifically, and all throughout where the bird was found, the indigenous people revered and kept it as a sacred bird. That figurine at the bottom right of the screen is from Costa Rica. This is from the Costa Rica Gold Museum. And the indigenous people of Costa Rica, specifically in the South Pacific near the Osa Peninsula, they saw it as a deity, right? As a god. And that was the representation they did. Okay, and same for Panama, same for Colombia, Ecuador, all those countries where they are found. Okay, specific. Now, where are they found? Okay, so this map on the left shows the range map for the harpy eagle. As you can see over here, the northern extension of the range goes through Mexico, past the Yucatan Peninsula and eastern Oaxaca, more or less, and it extends into Chiapas. It goes into the lowlands of Guatemala and then Honduras as well. From there, it continues on the east coast along the southern Nicaragua, northern Costa Rica a little bit, Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica, and then a stronghold here in the eastern end of Panama, the Darien region, and then goes into the Chocó region, but populations there are diminished. Then, of course, as you can see, the bulk of the range, it's in the Amazon basin, with some further south in Argentina as well. On the northern and southern extensions of the range, the birds are much less common, much more scarce in this case. Okay, so it basically inhabits lowland rainforests, although it can go into a little bit higher elevations. There's actually documents in Costa Rica, particularly, of birds seen and at high elevations of nearly 7,000 feet above sea level. That's probably one of the highest range elevation records that we have. They don't migrate. Okay, so all throughout the range, they stay within the same area. They don't migrate north or south. They are resident species. Okay, so they don't perform any movements outside of their ranges. Specifically in Central America, the largest population of harpy eagles is found in the Darien region, which we're about to see where it is. And that is interesting because for the last 20, 25 years, there has been studies being done keeping track of the populations of them. And since then, they have been able to identify more than 60 nests in that region of Panama. And currently, the population is estimated to be in 220 plus pairs, right? So that's over 400 individuals, just that particular region of Panama. But then, even though harpy eagles maintain healthy populations in South America, the outlook for Central America is not so positive, right? In most of the Central American countries, the status of harpy eagles is considered critically endangered, right? Whereas in South America, it's vulnerable to near threatened, right? But certainly in Costa Rica and the rest of the Central American countries north of us, populations are diminished. A little bit of reports from Belize every now and then. There's been only a handful of reports from that region of Mexico, Honduras as well. Costa Rica, we've had, 4 reports in the last 20 years. And then, of course, Panama sustains the biggest population of them. It is hard to determine, the population of harpy eagles for many reasons, because they're never numerous in their range. They are, it's difficult to assess that status, right? And because they live in low densities, that's the reason. And then, of course, this picture is actually quite interesting. Not my picture. This I grabbed from eBird. It's because it's seen flying in open areas. That is very, very unusual because this is an eagle that hardly ever, practically never soars. This is an eagle that doesn't leave the canopy very much of the forest, and it needs substantial, large portions of forest. And so it's basically difficult to determine the populations because unless you have access to those deep forests, those areas that in many cases the access is very limited, you will not be able to see them, right, or know that they're there. So in addition to that, as I mentioned, the densities, population densities are always low. And later on, we're gonna be talking about the density of the territories and how much they space their nests and all that. But again, just wanted to bring up that in Central America, all throughout Central America, the harpy eagle is critically endangered. Okay, and that's why Panama, it's right there holding the banner and saying we're gonna be here to protect it, and hopefully those populations will continue to expand and maybe reach areas like Costa Rica, which I really will hope so, that we'll be able to find a nest here in Costa Rica, but we're still trying. Okay, so harpies, they feed on mostly small mammals. And here's a warning if you are a sloth fan, because there's a video here that's coming up in a few minutes, and I will explain about it. But besides sloths, they eat small monkeys generally, capuchin monkeys, squirrel monkeys, tamarins. Although they like to hunt from low elevations, from the canopy lower, so they don't seem to spend much time, even though with those huge wings that they have, 6.5 wingspan, they don't travel far. They don't travel far. They are not fond of chasing or going out long distances in search of prey. They are more fond of hanging in there and wait for the food to come. Right. That's basically how they like to hunt. They don't really fly long distances. That's why they're mainly territorial, of course. So what they do is they sit there, and then once they see the prey, they go grab it. Sometimes they come to the ground. They are known to eat also reptiles, especially iguanas, right? And some birds as well. They may also come down to the ground and pick up on terrestrial mammals like coatis, for instance, or agoutis. So this video I'm about to play is that same image you see in there is I took. Forgive the shaking because it was impossible to hold the phone because of all the excitement of seeing this live. This is from Panama, one of the trips we did in 2018. And when we got to the nest site, we found the mother bringing food into the nest. The nest only was a few feet away from where this video was taken. And then the mother brought a sloth, right? If you pay close attention, you're going to see in the talon, it's holding the sloth. That's the sloth's arm right there. So the video is going to be shaky. All the videos when you're, shooting a harpy eagle are shaky because it's so exciting. There it goes. See, she's holding it there. Look at the size of those talons. I'm going to go there in a second. Look at holding it. She's looking around, and she stayed there for probably an hour holding that sloth. And finally, she made a move and then dropped it into the nest for the chick to feed on that. So the talons, you can see that picture on the bottom right, especially the rear talon, can grow up to 5 inches. That is only comparable with that of the grizzly bear. Imagine. And then the size of the talons, it's like anyone's wrist almost, that the feet actually, and then the talons are almost as big as my hand, I would assume. Judging by the size of the sloth, that's probably a young sloth. But even though the head, it almost disappears in the talons of the harpy. These are some still pictures of the same event. I circle in red. You can see it was a 3-toed sloth. You can see the 3 little fingers in there, and holding it by the head. And she was taking bites of it, maybe just shredding it and then preparing it for feeding the baby, who at that time approximately was 2 months old, that baby. Same picture on the right, just I'm insisting, look at those massive talons. And imagine something that size, 20 pounds, pouncing on you, it's like grabbing, I don't know, a bag of snacks out of the supermarket shelf. I mean, something like that, because it's almost no effort when you have such power like that. Yes, 4 inches talons. They eat approximately. This is not my picture. I wish it was mine. This is another one I took from eBird. This one's carrying a young. This is a capuchin monkey from South America, right? They eat approximately 800 grams of food a day. That is a little less than 2 pounds. But they don't eat every single day. They can go several days without food. And also they can stash food. They bring some food, they can hold it for a day or two for future meals. So they are known to do that, right? This is another cool picture. It was taken from a strategic location. I'm sure to be able to see it, but it's probably coming from an maybe semi-open area, because they can also tolerate some of that. They can disturb forest, they can tolerate some of that. So flying across and then bringing it to the nest. And once they have the right conditions for nesting, once they become adults at age 5, they find a mate and they find nest. I'm gonna leave you with this very cool picture. And they actually can, they find a tree that they like and they start nesting like at that point. Once those conditions are given, the right age, find a mate, of course, and find the right tree, they will begin to nest. They're monogamous. They mate for life, and lifespan is 35 to 45 years. Considering that they reach adulthood, or they are sexually mature at age 5, that means that they can stay together for more than 30 years. It's pretty remarkable. Because of the diet, the size, and perhaps the limited elements that they have, finding food is always necessarily easy for them. And raising a big kid like that may take some time. So they reproduce every 2 to 3 years, so more like 3 than 2, and they only lay 1 or 2 eggs. Generally, is 2 eggs, and this is very cool. Like, it's also not unusual for raptors, but they normally they lay 2 eggs, and the mother typically will incubate one of them, and then if that doesn't hatch, I mean, it's got the other one as backup. But then once one of the eggs hatches, one baby is there, she will stop incubating the other one, okay? Because that's going to take an awful lot of energy and time, of course, to raise two chicks. So they only raise 1. Lay 2 eggs, but raise 1. Okay. In case the first egg doesn't work, the second will be there. So at the first few days, she's gonna incubate both of them. But once the first one is ready, hatches, the other one, okay, it's history. So, and then she's gonna raise that young for more than 2 years. She's gonna raise that young for more than 2 years. She's gonna stay, and then all that process may take up to 2 years. The nesting territories are usually, there's been cases in Panama that they documented nests that are about 3 kilometers, let's say maybe 2 miles apart. In South America, where there's more extension, right? In Peru, they had them like 7 kilometers, that's something like 4 miles, I don't know. And then there's also studies that have been done that full-grown individuals or pairs, they may keep territories of 200 square miles. That's 25 kilometers by 25 kilometers. I thought I did the right numbers, and that's something around 200 square miles. So in other words, their territories may range from 20 to 200 miles, depending on the region. Of course, if you are in Darien, Panama, such a narrow part right there, you're not going to have 200 square miles there. But if you go on the Amazon basin, that's a different story. You might be able to get those 200 square miles easily. Okay. This is another video. It's perhaps not as mean as the last one. This is a chick at a nest. This chick was a little bit older. It's probably in the range of 4 to 5 months. Oh, these kids, they eat a lot, right? In 6 months, when they are born, you could probably hold them with your hand, right? When they're the first hatch. And in 6 months, they can reach the same size as their parents. Imagine. such an incredible growth rate in the first 6 months, which are crucial for them because they're extremely vulnerable to, believe it or not, there's predators, there could be wind knocking them over or something. So they are extremely vulnerable at those first few months. So in about half a year, they are able to grow and match their parents' size. Okay. Even though after that point, I'm gonna go on to the next one here. After that point, the chicks will begin to flap their wings. They make be able to make the first flights near the same tree where they are born. And then, but it won't really be until they are 2 years old that they are, okay, they're gone. Okay, they need to go and start a family of their own. Okay, their nests are placed up high in the trees, more than 150 feet above the ground, sometimes lower, sometimes there's reports of them nearly at 200 feet above the ground. But generally, that's the average, 150 feet, 120, 150 feet. Of course, they need emergent trees, ceiba trees, quipo trees, and there's a number of other trees in South America that I'm not really familiar with. But in Panama, they use a tree called quipo, and I will have a picture of a quipo tree in a minute. And so they really use that. Their nests are about the size of what is it, a queen size bed almost, right? And 6 feet in diameter. That's the average size nest. They normally find that huge towering tree, and in the central branches where all the branches, fork and start to grow, that's where they place their nests. Typical raptor nest. This particular case, I was reading that they may use more than 300 branches or twigs to build their nests, right? This video is from the same chick that we saw earlier, but then in this case, you can see the mother here on the top left. She's guarding everything. She's at that point, she started calling. Later, she started calling for the male and then to bring food in. But we were there almost 2 hours, and that father never showed up. So anyhow, here's another video. And then she's just looking around and she's checking everything. It was scorching hot, and this is something that really caught my attention, how hot it was that day. Temperatures above 90 degrees. This is Panama we're talking about, right? And there was no shade overhead because it wasn't the peak end of the dry season, so there was no foliage on those trees. And that chick, finally, I mean, I don't know. One time she came and she sort of shadowed him with a wing, but only for a brief minutes, and then she went into the shade again. Got some cool spot. Right? They may use the same tree or the same site for nesting year after year, or sometimes they they go find a new tree. But that's something is a requirement, is to have a big, tall, towering tree like that. And again, typically surrounded by pristine forests where there's enough food. Another interesting thing is that the females typically are the ones in charge of the incubation. They have to sit on that nest for almost 2 months. They have to sit on that for almost those 2 months, and then the father typically brings the food in and feeds her. And every now and then she will get up and raise, maybe flap the wings and exercise a little bit, but that's quite the task. But then she's there, and the father is also assisting. So it's quite interesting, intense parental care that you see with the harpy eagles. This is another video of, this is another bird we saw on a different trip. This is a fledgling young one. We thought it was a male, so this one was already about 6 months old. And at that point, the parents, for the first 4 months, there's one parent right there next to the chick. And then from there on, a couple more months, they start taking longer shifts, right? They go and find food, and then they come every 2 hours, sometimes twice a day, sometimes once a day. but that chick was already flapping and then was moving around and jumping. We were actually afraid that it was going to fall because that tree was pretty tall. But of course, yeah, that didn't happen. So that's more or less when they turn 5 or 6 months old that they start doing that. They become more independent, more independent. But then, not fully. That's the same chick. This is a picture. Not fully independent after 2 years. And that's when they go on their own. They start, mastering their hunting skills and looking for other territories. And then by year 5, sometimes 4, they are already sexually mature, and then that's when the bonding pairs begin to happen at that point. They generally don't go. I mean, it's difficult because of the different size and territories, but then sometimes they can stay quite close to their parents and all that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I just wanted to introduce, this is the quipo tree, and this is the type of habitat. This is a picture from Panama, and that's the type of tree that they use. See, surrounded by forest. In this particular case, this nest was actually at a private farm, and it's like saying it wasn't somebody's backyard. And although it's not easy to get there, but you can pretty much say that. So that's one of the interesting things, is that they can tolerate that partially disturbed habitat. They don't necessarily need the required pristine, super mature forest. They can tolerate some of that. So in places like in Darien, Panama, where agriculture and logging are still common practices over there, well, of course, it's not the ideal conditions, but then they can somewhat tolerate that, right? And so long as they have the right kind of tree. See, that's in the dry season. See, the tree is leafless. It's a deciduous tree. And this picture was from what month was this? I think it was one March also. And so later with the rains, the trees will recover. And it's right at the center of all those branches where the, I don't know if you can see my pointer right there, but that's kind of where they place their nest. The other image to the right, bottom right, this is I took from eBird, and these are all the different sites where there's been reports of harpy eagles. Okay, historically in the Darien area. Okay, and this doesn't necessarily mean that these are nests, but there have been sightings of harpy there. The red one, that's right here, that's the most recent. A friend of mine was just there, and he came back with a big smile. He's a Costa Rican, and so he went there exclusively to see the harpy eagle, and then he was telling me that he got it. It was very successful. Just to give you an idea, this is the end of the Pan American Highway here. I don't know if you can see where my cursor is, but it's down there. This is the end of the Pan American. From here on, back down this direction, farther east, right of the screen, of course, that's the high mountains of the hilly country of Darien, and that is the true Darien Gap. This is where nobody goes there. Okay, so that's the part that connects with South America right there. Our lodge, we're going to be staying in our tour, is right here next to where it says number 1. I don't know, again. Oh, basic pointer, there we go. Okay, so this might work better. Right here is where our lodge, this is the hot spot for our lodge. So look at the privileged location that we have, because we've had all these reports of harpy eagles right close to where we are. The Pan American Road ends right here, or highway. And then Panama City is up in that direction. Right? So this is why we like it there so much. I want to say that even though harpy eagle it's difficult to see, and the Panamanians are doing a great job. There's together with the Peregrine Fund, and there's a local Panamanian foundation. It's called Panama 507 Nature Foundation. They are doing a tremendous job in collecting information and then doing research, surveys, and working with local communities and introducing concepts of ecotourism for them, specifically the indigenous communities, the Embera communities that live here, because they are the ones that are primarily working with Panamanians. And visitors, of course, right? So the alternative of having people come and visit them, and they see that connection, of course, of protecting the resources and protecting the harpy eagles, going out there every year to track and find new nests, movements of young birds and all that. It's really making a difference in the Panama. As I said, the Peregrine Fund, which is based in Idaho, has been working with them extensively the last 25 years, perhaps, something like that. And in the same way, offering that technical advice and offering tools and learning opportunities for all the communities. Okay. So with this, I want to just close the brief presentation on the harpy eagle. Of course, there's a lot more you can talk about. Things like how many slots a week they eat, that kind of stuff. But then that we're not gonna go there, at least this time. But Lahontan Audubon Society, along with Crescentia Expeditions, we have already started the organization of a couple of trips to Panama. So the LAS is going to Panama, right? Panama has more than 1,000 bird species. 1,000, imagine, in an area that is slightly smaller than North Carolina, 29,000 something square miles. Okay, so it's a small country. It's very similar to Costa Rica. Costa Rica, Panama, we share a lot of those features, that we were the last link that connected South America with North America, allowing the exchange of organisms, the proximity of the oceans, right? The mountains that were formed after that, creating lots and lots of different micro habitats and different ecosystems in that area, which of course in turn are home of, in this case, 1,000 bird species. We're a little behind them. We're at 920. So they got about 100 more birds in Panama than they do here in Costa Rica, but that's great. I have been very, very fortunate to be in Panama several times, and the people there are super nice. We work with extremely qualified local guides. And so this is really, really exciting to be announcing this trip. After how many, 3, 4 Lahontan trips to Costa Rica. And a big shout out to all the people that participated in the Costa Rican trips. Thank you so much. This year we had a very, very successful trip. The northern part of Costa Rica, we've done a couple more in the south. And of course, the first one we did, which was the central Costa Rica. So that's 4 trips altogether in Costa Rica. So thank you all of you that came on those trips, and all of you that helped organizing and making all the arrangements back in Reno to make these trips happen. So we're really, really excited. And so this is a brief description. I don't want to take too much of your time at this point, but I'm just going to do a very brief description. So we're basically working in 3 different locations. The trip will start in Panama City, right, at the Tocumen Airport in Panama City. So your flights should be scheduled in and out of Panama City, right? We have a very nice hotel that is right close to the airport. It's like 5 minutes really from the airport, but it has some nice grounds. It has it's very, very comfortable, and then there's even some basic, but there is birding opportunities. We're not going to see harpy eagle there, but we're going to see what are the few essential basic birds of Panama at that point. Then the trip continues a little bit farther west of that in the canal area, right close to the canal area, close to a community called Gamboa. And that's where the world famous Canopy Tower is located. It used to be a military radar tower that later it was, given to a local person there who decided to start a new business there, the Canopy Tower, Canopy family, and they turned into an actual lodge. I'm gonna show you a little bit more of that in a minute. And then, of course, the trip to Darien, which is in this section right here. That area where I was showing you where all the harpy eagle sightings is more or less this circle here. Okay, this circle. Okay. Yeah. So, and this is the Darien Gap right here that borders with Panama. So that's area that has no access and all of that. So we don't go. The program itself, we need to invest a minimum of 11 days. We're visiting 3 locations. We are keeping each group to a maximum of 10 birders plus 1 LAS representative. And you will have 2 guides, well, hopefully myself, and the people that we work with in Panama, in any case, every time we organize a trip outside of Costa Rica, we work with local guides, people from the communities, people from there who know where all those secrets are. So I mostly go as a backup guy, but we'll have essentially 2 guides for trips. As I said, the trip starts in Panama City. This is quite a vibrant city, very lively, busy downtown area. The hotel is not it's not in downtown. It's away from downtown, close to the airport. But it's an easy 15-minute drive into the city if you're, or take the metro, which works wonderfully in Panama these days. And if you want to see the, in case you have a chance to see part of the city, right? This is a view of the hotel. The rooms are in the back, nice swimming pool. And as you can see, there's some grounds back there. So we get to see some things like, I don't know, thinking of bright crown woodpeckers are fairly common around there, and a few other Panamanian specialties. So we start there. On our first and last nights will be at this same hotel. After that, we move to the Canopy Tower. And this is, as I said, close to the canal area, close to the Panama Canal. This is the view of the lodge, right? There's 3 stories there, and then the rooms are arranged. You can see a picture of the room over here in ways that everybody has a nice window, everybody has a view. And then right there at the top, right next to that dome, which used to be part of that radar system, it's an observation deck. So you're essentially looking at the forest from the canopy level. And the birding around the lodge itself it's outstanding. It's incredible. You can see like sometimes blue cotingas are right in that neighborhood. There are toucans, scale pigeons. I can name so many things. But then so this is quite an iconic, which it came to set a new standard of ecotourism in Panama and birding tourism especially, because they opened 3 other lodges, and they mostly cater for birders. And they've also set the example for other local people, entrepreneurs, to start their own business. So we're going to visit some famous sites when we are there. We're 3 days in the Canopy Tower, 3 days there. We visit the world famous Pipeline Road, the Rainforest Discovery Center, which has another observation tower, Amo Ponds, Old Gamboa Road, Metropolitan Park, and then we're gonna take chance to go visit the Panama Canal, see the locks, the Miraflores locks, which is good because generally you go there after noon, early afternoon is the best time to see all the traffic, all the ships coming and going. So it's not going to take much of our birding time in that area. Also a way of learning about the culture and history of Panama, history of the canal. And here's some couple of pictures. Some of the rare birds, special birds that you see along, this is Pipeline. This is a pheasant cuckoo, very bad picture, but I finally got a picture of it. And this is pretty much how Pipeline Road looks like. It's not an actual, it's an old road. There's no traffic of practically anything there. So it's very, very, very nice birding, surrounded by some secondary forest and then primary forest in the background. And so it gives lots of great birding opportunities, including this pheasant cuckoo, which is very tough. That bird is not easy, and it's a big target for that area, and then hopefully we'll have a chance to see it. Other things you see around the canal is pipe water tyrants, and then of course, like most of our trips or all of our trips, we don't only focus on birds and you know, we also take the time to see other things. And monkeys, a sloth, as long as there's not a harpy eagle around, we'll be fine. Coatis, agoutis, and things like that. This is a small monkey that we don't have in Costa Rica. It's the Geoffroy's tamarin. That thing is very, very little. This was seen very close to Pipeline, actually. So as I said, we're going to be spending 3 days there, 3 full days, to visit also Metropolitan Park, which is a really, really cool urban park there that has a lot of wildlife there. And this is Miraflores Locks. I think Kat Gill is attending this presentation, and she might remember this because we were there that time. That cruise ship, believe it or not, that's going there is the Pacific Princess. And you know, guys, that was the same thing that they used in the Love Boat, if you remember that TV show from back in the days. So we were so lucky to be that day. And then the announcer said, "Oh, here comes the Pacific Princess," and la 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 la. And then finally said, "Well, this is the Love Boat from that TV show." So there's an observation center right there, a museum that was about to be reopened, but we will be able to spend some time here going to see the locks. And as I said, this generally happens in the early afternoon. So sometime after lunch, we're going to go and check it out for a few minutes. Back here is the new canal area that opened. And so we'll take a few minutes to see this so important part of Panama. Also, when we go to Pipeline, we go to Ama Ponds, we're going to be right there next to the canal. So the third leg of our trip is going to take us to Darien. And then we spend actually 5 days in Darien. It takes about 5 hours. I must say this, that the drive is a bit long from Panama City to Darien. It's about 5.5 hours, but we break it with several stops along the way. For example, we typically we stop and bird around Bayano Lake. It's a good birding spot right there. And then while we are there, each day we'll do outings. We'll go to various locations, various birding sites in the area. And these are some of them that I put here. Oh, Panama Canal should not be here. I don't know what that's there. Okay, anyhow, so Panama is not there. But anyhow, we're going to visit some of the locations. So what we do, typically we start early morning. This is also true for our days at the Canopy Tower. Early morning, we jump on the whatever transportation they have for us. And then we drive for a short distance, and then we start birding each one of those areas. Of course, we will invest a full day during our stay here at the Canopy Tower to go look for the harpy eagle. Okay, harpy eagle. Before I go on with this, well, these are the kind of accommodations that they have. These are the African-style tents. They're fully covered, and then as you can see, very, very comfortable. Each one of them has a fan, and you have your own private bathroom, which is this little building on the right here, a private bathroom, and is very, very comfortable. It's like almost a hotel room, but you're sleeping actually in tents, and they're raised well above the ground, so there's ventilation and all of that, surrounded by very cool grounds. Amazing birding goes on around here. Last time we were there, we were just going from our room to the dining room, and then there was a great jacamar, one of the really hard birds to see. It was right there on the ground. It's like, okay, where is this bird? And why is this bird here so easy to see when we have to always work really hard to see it? But then, boom, there it was. So anyhow, as you can see, very, very comfortable. They have 8 of these tents, and it's a really nice area, far enough from the Pan American Highway there, so it's in a very private, nice farm, property, I should say, with lots of grounds around there. They've had harpy eagles on the property there. During our visits, we're gonna go, as I said, check out different areas. These are couple of birds that are very, very local. They're almost endemics to Darien. So really, really good birds. Great chick nunglet, a little tiny thing, and the dusky-back jacamar, which we need to go visit one of the indigenous communities to see it, because there's only one specific area there where you see it, and it's really, really cool. Very, very small, rare, limited range birds that you see in the Darien region. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, so this is how we get around typically. These are the canoes. When we go out to I'm going to describe quickly the typical outing to go see the harpy eagle. We start really early in the morning. We drive and we get to the river. This depends which river we're using, but then we get to one of the rivers and then we move by those dugout canoes. As you can see, they have a motorboat, have somebody driving those boats, of course. Then we go upriver and then normally 45 minutes by boat. Then we get to another place. Last time we had to get on another vehicle, ride for a little bit, and then we had to, at the end, we had to hike about 45 minutes up through the forest to get to the nest site, okay? Each time is different. Each time it changes, but then it's an adventure. You start really, really early before sunrise, you're out going, and then it's all that expectation of going to see this majestic harpy eagle. And well, it's I must say that one of the times we were there, we were lucky to see both harpy eagles and crested eagle also during the same trip. And that was really wonderful because crested eagles are super rare as well. So anyhow, so that's the typical trip to see the harpy eagle. Also, when we visit the indigenous communities in Vera, we also repeat the process of taking those boats upriver. The sign to the left is literally the end of the Pan American. That's the end of the road, the end of the Pan American. So it's 12,580 kilometers to Alaska from that point. That's where the Pan American ends. Yeah. So we always stop there and then take a couple of pictures and moving towards the end here. This is the Emberá community. These are the people that make things happen there, really. It's everything really about the harpy eagle and about those cool birds in Panama. Most of it is thanks to these folks there. These are the indigenous communities. And so we visit with them, right? We're in one of the outings, we stop and they're normally offering as part of the ecotourism projects that they have. They're selling souvenirs, handmade crafts that they make themselves, really, really great with all the themes of the harpy eagles and butterflies and all that. And the ladies there with their fabrics, and quite interesting to interact with them a little bit and also bring some extra benefits to them. And this also adds to the cultural component of the trip to learn a little bit about their groups and their cultures. Excuse me. Well, the tour, just like we did the last 4 times with Lahontan, will be an all-inclusive, with the exception of airfare and insurance, and alcoholic beverages and other personal expenses. Everything will be included, in, counting donation to Lahontan Audubon Society to sponsor the scholarships or conservation projects that they have back in Nevada. And so practically all that list, all the meals will be included, the guides, the transportation. We provide water, purified water, cold beverages during the outings, snacks, all meals, lodging, entrance fees, gratuities. We give you a checklist of Panama, and so it's practically an all-inclusive. And then finally, well, this is the golden-headed manakin that we have a chance to see around the canopy camp as well. Really cool manakin. The selected dates, these dates are confirmed for the trip. The first one is going to be this year in December 3rd to the 13th. And then we have another plan for next year in May. We schedule May 18th to 28th next year because we wanted to start before and after the busy season. Right? It's not that Panama or those areas of Panama, they get a super busy season, but then it's also a good time to be at the end and also at the beginning of the rainy season. And also with migration going on, that helps also increase the number of species that we're going to see. Okay, and so those are the 2 dates that we have already confirmed. You will be receiving more information if you are interested. There's the price per person and single room supplement and information. You will get it through my good friend Kath Gill, and that's her her email right there. Maybe if you want to, I don't know, take a picture or save this information for later. But with this, I finished my presentation. I try to cover most things of the trip. As I said, it's got a nice. For those of you that have been to Costa Rica, you're thinking, oh, what am I going to see different? I know, because there's always that question, but I always put it like this. The Panama Canal is right there in the middle. Anything west of that, moving towards Costa Rica, you start seeing very similar, if not the same birds of here. But once you start moving the opposite direction, more towards South America, that's one of the reasons why Panama also has more birds, because they're connected right there with Colombia. So a lot of things just jump in from Colombia in there. So they have a big source of birds in that part. And many of those are different, right? We're also not only the harp eagle and the rest, but we also see very cool things like red-throated caracaras are seen there. Chestnut-fronted macaws are typically around, and there's really a lot of if I remember correctly, the last trip we did there, we got more than 350 species in that trip, something like that. It was just at that end part. Anyhow, so we're in for a treat. This part of one of the best birding areas, most concentrated areas in the world is right there, the canal area and Darien. That's why we like to present you with this trip. So with this, I think I'm finished. I'm gonna stop sharing. That's okay. Okay. All right. There I am. So I don't know if you guys, anyone has any questions or thing. Okay. So I'm reading here that the information about the trip will be posted on the website pretty soon. Okay.
Did you have a question?
No, I just had a comment, actually.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Marty?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we just finished the Costa Rica trip. And I'd say it was really well organized and kept us very busy. So it was a great trip. Saw 300 species of birds with Tony.
Very good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I got a really good report from Tony on your trip, and also, well, Diane and all the folks there. So yeah, we're of course going to try to follow that line and yeah, make sure it's another successful trip, right? It's always great to work with La Hontan. You guys are really organized, and so we're hoping for that, right? It's a little expansion as well. But thank you for your comment, right? I'm happy to hear that you had a good time.
I have a question. When will signups be started?
Okay.
Has that been decided?
Diane?
Hi, okay, so it looks like I'm on. So it looks like, the question was, when will signups for this trip be offered? And we are going to try and open this up, starting next weekend. I'm working currently with our website manager, to get that going, and I will get that registration link up as soon as I can. I will be sending an email out to everyone, so everyone who is on our email list or a member will be able to get that announcement. And I also put an announcement on our website and probably on our social media as well, so that we can get the word out.
I have something to add to that. Because this trip is very popular. Oh yeah, sorry. I have something to add. Because this trip is very, very popular, we're going to give our membership, so people who are actually members, a few days head start to sign up. And then afterwards, the people who are not members will be able to sign up. And that means that if you're a member and you want to travel with someone who's not a member, you can't sign up the non-member. it's only $20 to be a member. So I would suggest that you would encourage them to join. But that's just a way to be fair to our membership and continue on. It's a very popular trip, so that's what we've decided to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Mhm.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Right. Will there be any trips to visit groups that are doing protection of the birds or other environmental remediation on this trip?
So the question is, will there be any trips to visit with conservation groups or people who are working to protect the birds over there?
Okay, very good question. Well, in this particular case, through the folks that we are, working all the logistics in Panama, we're going to be able to, distribute some funds to those, specifically in the indigenous communities, right? That's one of the biggest incentives to go there is to participate with the groups there, the indigenous people that are involved in helping, basically because they are their field assistants to the people who are currently gathering information about the harpy eagle specifically. So that will be our opportunity basically there. And to be more specific about your question, we do not have a specific visit with, like we did here in Costa Rica, with a specific group of conservation. But in this case, we monitor and then we basically try to disperse the profits that go to these people.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions here? Any questions there? Thank you. It was great.
Okay.
Does anyone just want to say hi to Mario?
Yeah.
Just come up here so you can, so he can.
Let's see who's there. I want to see who's there.
Hi,
Hi,
Lori, Lori, Kathy. Yeah. Oh my
Flora.
God, look at you, Laura, Jerry. Oh my God, the whole gang is there. It's good to see you guys. So great to see you. Hola, Kat. You're there. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. It's wonderful, wonderful, guys. Well, I thank you all for being there, and looking forward to seeing you, some of you or all of you again. And Judy says hi here, and hi, Judy. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to this new opportunity. It's like I said, Panama is amazing. Are great. Birds are amazing, and of course the opportunities to interact and meet other people. I think that's also very valuable. So thank you all again. I don't know.
Thank you, Mario, so much. And I'd like to just repeat what Mario says. These trips are such an amazing way to just meet with friends and go out with some amazing birders, and you just make friends for life. And you make friends internationally as well. We have friends in other countries because of our birds. So it's a great thing.
Very cool. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Hope I'll see you soon. Thank you, Diane, Susie, everybody. Thank you.